Welcome to Retirement Rescue Radio, a show specifically designed to help retirees and pre-retirees maximize their financial efficiency so you can live the retirement lifestyle you've always imagined. Your host is Nate Miller, investment advisor representative and author of the CPR Retirement Rescue Roadmap. Nate discusses thoughts and ideas from some of today's most knowledgeable professionals in the field of finance. He offers strategies along the way to help you make better financial decisions so you can maximize your retirement. This is Retirement Rescue Radio.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Retirement Rescue Radio. This episode, we've got something very special here. We've got Josh Miller, also my brother, and he is going to be giving us all kinds of information on Social Security. So Josh, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I've been better.
Are you sure? Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you that can't see what's going on right now, Josh, tell them what happened.
So if you can't see this, if you're just listening to the podcast, I was holding up my right hand and I had cut the back of my hand and my extender tendon for my index finger, skinning a deer.
Yep. So this is what happened. He's skinning a deer. My family hunts. We've hunted. I mean, we grew up on a farm, so we're big hunters, and he literally cut through, was it 2 tendons?
Well, there's 2 tendons for the index finger, so it's just one finger. So
got it. And so you cut a tendon, and you said it didn't really even hurt.
No, I mean, when you cut through all the nerves and everything in the skin, you really don't feel anything. So yeah, no real pain, but I go under the knife again here in just a couple hours to get the tendon fixed.
Yeah. So you cut it with a knife that, cut it in 2. Now you got to go under the knife to put it back together. It's ironic.
That's right.
And yeah, we talked a little bit about what he's going to have done. They're going to put a local anesthetic like in his armpit. And I was like, ooh, I had that happen when I was in high school. I broke my thumb and I had to have surgery.
That was also 25 years ago. Are they still going to do it like that? I don't know.
I don't know, man. That the needle was huge, long and big around, a lot bigger around than I thought. And so that hurt more than my thumb ever did, like the needle itself. And then when the anesthetic wore off, just the aching of the entire shoulder that hurt more than my thumb ever did. And so, yeah, thanks. You're in for that. I'm just getting you ready for it. Just bracing you.
Cut time. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. All right. So, we didn't come on here to, talk about deer hunting and slicing through tendons. We got on here to talk about Social Security. And so first off, there's a lot of different places that we can go with Social Security. There's tons of rules, tons of ways of claiming. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to take some time and give you kind of a Social Security 101. But we're also probably going to include some things in there that might be a little bit more advanced too. And I'm going to ask Josh, basically interview him on these questions because he's taken the time and kind of become our resident Social Security claiming expert here. So I'm just going to go right off the bat here and say, how are the Social Security benefits even calculated? Let's start at the simplest that we can, and then we'll kind of go from there. So how are Social Security benefits?
All right. So the way that they're calculated is they use your 35 highest earning years. All right. So if you don't have 35 years in for earning, maybe you were like our mom, who was a stay-at-home mom for a lot of years because we had a lot of siblings there. She doesn't have 35 earned years, so she just has zeros in those extra years. Now that does reduce the benefit, but if you have more than 35 years, well, then the lower earning years just start to drop off. Okay. And there's an inflation factor that they use for your wages up to age 59. So whatever that inflation factor was for that year, that's what they use for your wages. But then once you hit age 60 and thereon, there is no inflation factor to your wages. It's just your face value earnings. So if you make $60,000 age 60, they're taking that dollar amount. But if you made $60,000 at age 59, they're going to apply a index factor for inflation on there. And that's all the way from 60 to age 70. There's no inflation factor in there at all. Oh. So for 10 years, you're getting no inflation factor. It's whatever the wage is that year. So that's kind of ridiculous, but
yeah. Well, let's unpack that for a second. So what that means is the highest 35 years. So if we're sitting here making, towards the end of our life or our end of our working career, we're making now 6 figures, but we've got now 35 years, and year number 36 comes. We're still making our $150,000 or whatever. We're making six figures. And that's going to kick out, say, that first year that we earned minimum wage working for whatever, poopy job that we had at the time. Mine was working in a kennel, like a dog kennel, medicating dogs. Some of these dogs were so small, I couldn't even get my pinky finger to medicate them. I couldn't even get my pinky finger in there far enough to push the pill down. I had to have one of the smaller people do that. So yeah, I could only feed or medicate certain dogs. I couldn't medicate all of them. It was weird. But yeah, so they get rid of it. Okay, cool. So then we hear all the time about Social Security, a term, full retirement age. And a lot of times we might see it even abbreviated FRA for full retirement age. Yep. What is full retirement age, and what do we need to keep in mind? What does that special date signify that we can do or not do?
Well, that doesn't mean that that's when you can retire. A lot of people say that's when I'm going to retire. It's like, that doesn't have to be when you retire. But what the Social Security Administration refers to as full retirement age, or I'm just going to abbreviate it to the FRA from now on, is when you're deemed as being full retirement age. Like if you were born between 1943 to 1954, your full retirement age was 66. Now, they did change things because it used to be 65. And then they changed it several years back to where they started increasing the age to pay lower amounts so Social Security didn't run out as early. Still got other changes that they're going to need to make. But for 1954, up to 1954, your full retirement age is 66. Now, for every year after 1954, you got to add 2 months to that age, and that's your full retirement age. That's what they give you, your full retirement amount is what they say. So you're adding 2 months for every year after that up till 1960. Once you hit 1960, your full retirement age is 67. So anybody that's was born in 1960 or later, even us as of right now, our full retirement age is 67.
Okay, so
now they could change that. Who knows?
Yeah, they can always change that, and there's talk about possibly doing that for the younger generation to help shore up some of the reserves. So let's unpack that for a second. So you said that up to age 54 it was like 66, but then after 54 to 1960, it's now 2 months for each year that you get older, right? So if you're born in 1956, then that should technically be 66 and 4 months, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, so that's how the math works there. So if you're born in 1959, 66 and 10 months would be your full retirement age. And so, but once you hit 1960, all the rest of us 67.
That's right.
That seems like that could be an easy thing to increase, since our life expectancy is so much higher now. That seems like a pretty easy thing that they could increase to help shore up some of the reserves for some of the younger population. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that could be something that they increase. Now, there really hasn't been any talk of increasing the minimum age, which is 62, when you can start claiming right now, to increase that. It's only the full retirement age that they talk about being looking at increasing. So I don't know if there's ever going to be any talk of increasing the minimum age from 62 to 63. I don't know.
So, and don't most people claim Social Security before their full retirement age anyway?
Yeah, the statistics show that most of them claim at 62, and that may not be the best time for somebody. So there's a lot that goes into calculating when you should collect Social Security, because it's all based on your personal situation. Somebody, it may be 62 is the best age for them to retire, or for others, very similar situation, it could be 70 when it's best for them to claim. So it's very, very complicated. It's not just when do I want to retire. That's not the only thing that goes into it. There are a lot of other things that have to be coordinated to find out what makes the most sense.
What, you mean something's not easy?
Well, it does deal with the government. So yes, it is not very simple, not very easy.
Not straightforward at all. Yeah. Okay. So what if you wanted to continue working? while you are retired or while you're claiming Social Security. So you claim Social Security, you want to keep on working. What are the ramifications of that? Because we all know that there's some issues with that.
Yeah. So if you're wanting to maybe retire from your full-time job, get a part-time job, or just start collecting and keep on working your own job, there is an earnings limit, which means you can only earn so much money outside of that, or the Social Security Administration is going to start reducing your Social Security benefits. But this is only up to your full retirement age. So once you hit full retirement age, there's no reduction. But how that works is it's just earned income. So pensions don't count, IRA distributions, dividends don't count, annuity payments, those don't count. It's only earned income. So wages or like W-2, 1099, stuff like that. Now there's a couple more details for if you own your own business and you're self-employed. I'll get into those a little bit. But for wages for any year before you turn full retirement age, the income limit or what you can earn that year is $22,320 for 2024. Now, this number gets indexed every year, pretty much. So it goes up pretty much every year.
Yeah, but
that's making roughly $1,700, $1,800 a month to stay under that limit.
Yeah, that's not very high.
Okay. Yeah, it's not very high. Now, in the year you do turn full retirement age, they loosen it up a little bit. So you can earn $59,520 in that year you turn full retirement age. So if you made $50,000 or whatever up to your birthday, you're okay. They won't reduce your Social Security benefit at all. And then once you hit that full retirement age, you can make $1 billion and they won't reduce your Social Security payments. So, but the reductions are.
I recommend everyone try that. Try to make $1 billion once you hit your full retirement age.
Yes,
and claim Social Security and watch them not take any of it away. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the reduction amount, for if you do go over those amounts, is for the non-full retirement age years, you get for every $2 over that amount of the $22,000, they'll deduct $1 from your Social Security. So if you make 10 grand over, they'll deduct 5,000 from your Social Security. Mm-hmm. Now, in that full retirement year, they loosened up a little bit there too. It's for every $3 over, they take out $1 for Social Security. So the year you turn full retirement age, that they really loosened up quite a bit there. And this is only for the retirement benefits, not for Social Security disability income, just the retirement benefits.
Got it.
And it only deals with your individual income. Even if you are a couple, it's only on your own income. The spouse's income does not affect yours unless you are taking, you're taking a spousal benefit and they make too much. Right? So if the higher earner is still working before full retirement age and they go over the limit and you're on the spousal benefit, then it's going to reduce both of them.
Ooh.
And if you know you're going to be over the limit, tell the Social Security Administration, because communication can save a lot of headaches. It goes a long ways.
Good deal. So that means,
right, so
let's look at the two of us. We're both born after 1960. And so our full retirement age would be 67. Now your birthday is October, mine's in March. And so as of current rules, that whole full retirement year age, 59,520 that we could earn, you could basically earn 59,000 before October. I would have to try to earn 59,000 before March in order to be over that limit. And
that's a challenge.
Yeah, challenge accepted, right?
All right.
Let's make 60 grand, in 3 months. So yeah, that's, obviously those that are born earlier in the year, that's a little harder to do if they're still working. But yeah, that's, not a lot.
In that year you turn full retirement age, maybe you're working until then. So maybe you make, $60,000, $70,000 prior, like you have a late year birthday like mine, and you make $60,000 or $70,000. Mm-hmm. Well, you've already gone over the yearly limit. So then there's a monthly limit that you can earn up to that. So, but that's only in the first year you start Social Security. So instead of the Social Security Administration looking at the yearly amount, they look at the monthly amount in the first year that you collect Social Security. And if you are self-employed, you can kind of, I guess, manipulate a little bit how much you can actually show on your income. So if you are self-employed, they also limit the time you can work inside your business. And right now, that limit is 45 hours a month, not a week, a month. And if you're a highly skilled profession, I don't know, maybe like a doctor or something, then they may limit that all the way down to 15 hours a month. So if you are self-employed, call the Social Security Administration, double check, see what they say for your type of business. Yeah, more stipulations.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, we're going past Social Security 101 or 101 with that, and we're going to Social Security like 1001. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, there's
a
lot of rules.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit ago something about spousal benefits. And so I think right now let's expand on that a little bit. What are spousal benefits? How much? How do you get them? How good are they? All that good stuff.
All right. Well, I'm going to kind of go with our parents' example because Dad worked the farm, Mom stayed home most of her working life to take care of us. And then she went and got a few part-time jobs and worked at the school that we actually went to, the high school. So we had to be really good then. But spousal, so she didn't have very much of a benefit, right? Hers was going to be very low, but the lower earning spouse, whether it's the male or female, doesn't matter. The lower earner can get up to 50% of the higher earner's full retirement age benefit. But that 50% is only if they claim both at full retirement age or later. If either of them claims before full retirement age, that amount is reduced.
Okay. How much is it reduced by?
Well, it's reduced differently for the primary earner versus the spousal benefit. So it's kind of complicated, but you still, like, the lower earner still gets their benefit, but then they have what's called a spousal excess for the spousal portion, and those are reduced more than your own earnings. So if you claim full retirement age or claim Social Security before your full retirement age, let's say you both claimed at 62. Well, the biggest reduction for your own benefit would be 70% of whatever your full retirement age benefit is. So if you're getting $1,000, you only get $700. Now the spousal, they ding you a little more. It's 35%. So you'd only get 65% of the full retirement age benefits. So they've got calculations for both of those in the reduction. And it's kind of complicated. You really don't need to know that, but we do. So,
but bottom line on that is, like, if you are planning on having one of the spouses claim a spousal benefit, then most likely you need to make sure that neither one of them claims before full retirement age, in order, if they want the full maximum benefit.
If they want the full 50%, yes. Yeah. And if the higher earner is not claiming yet, then the lower earner cannot claim on the spouses. The higher earner has to claim for you to get, and there's no more switching back and forth to see which one's higher. The only time you can switch is when there's an ex or a deceased spouse.
Yep, because then you can be able to file and then immediately suspend them. We used to be able to do that. So, like, the higher earners you just mentioned, if they wanted to get their spouse eligible for those spousal benefits, they could hit full retirement age, claim, but then suspend. But that would make their spouse eligible. Well, we can't even do that anymore. They don't allow that. So
once you file, you
claim.
Yeah, you're deeming. So now you can make more money than you can make a lot of money, and then it'll reduce your own to where you don't get any, but then they can still claim, and that's not gonna work. That's not gonna affect like your payment going away. It's just going to get recalculated when you stop working.
Okay, so now what you're explaining is the fact that if you do decide to claim early, and therefore if you make too much money, you might have that, that $23,320 that you can earn before they start taking it away. if you earn so much more than that, that now they take your entire Social Security benefit away, that money's not just gone.
No, it is not.
Okay. So how does that work? So let's say I'm 62, and because of COVID, I decided I didn't want to be in my job anymore. It was one of those industries that it was super hard. Maybe you were in the nursing industry, maybe you were a teacher, whatever, during that time. And you're like, that's it, I'm done. So you retired, started taking your Social Security, and then you realize, you know what? I think I actually still kind of would work. And you start working again, and you make so much money, you're not earning any of your Social Security anymore. So, and then let's say you hit 68 and you're like, you know what? Now I'm going to completely retire, and you stop working. What happens?
Well, at that point, the money that is reduced, the Social Security amount that is reduced does not go away. It just kind of sits over here on the sideline baking. And then when you're done working and then collecting the Social Security benefit again, then they take those dollars, put them back into your calculation, and come up with a new amount, a higher amount. Okay.
Yeah.
So we should have gone over that in the working part of it. But yeah.
That's right. So they recalculate your benefit, and now you got an increased benefit than what you had when you first started claiming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you start and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have started that, you do have up to a year to stop the Social Security payment. So if it's like within 6 months or something, 7 months, you could stop your Social Security payments, but you have to pay back you have to pay back all of the dollars that you did claim, and most people can't do that. So that's really not an option for most people. So you got to start working so much that you don't earn it, or just earn up to the limit.
Yeah, that'd be the better way. Let's just earn enough to where you don't, you're going to get it all back.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, and there is, when you claim, so let's say you decide you want to claim at full retirement age, right? There's an option when you first start claiming to get a bigger benefit right up front too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So there's a way that you can actually get the full amount, or they might come back and say, well, hey, what about a lump sum payment? You could get this chunk of money and then get your payments after that as well. And you really got to watch this, because this is only for filing after full retirement age. All right. So you can, and they may tell you, they may not. Sometimes I've heard some stories to where they won't tell you about this lump sum, but then you'll get it in the mail, and they're like, what the heck is this? And sometimes they'll tell you about it, but not ask you if you want it or not, and they'll just send it. But definitely make sure that you go over this with an advisor, because it does affect a lot of things. So you can get up to a 6-month lump sum if you claim after full retirement age. All right. Whether it's if your full retirement age is 67 and you claimed at 67 in 6 months, you could get up to the 6 months. But even if you claimed at 68, you're still only getting a 6-month retroactive lump sum. But what that does is it reduces the benefit by 4%.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it 4%? Well, the yearly increase after you turn full retirement age, your benefit grows by 8% guaranteed every year. So if you get the full 6 months, that's a reduction of half a year, 4%. So most times there's about a 10-year break even on getting the lump sum and the smaller payments versus starting off with the larger full payments. But it also adds to your taxation in the year that you do get that. And it also, if you're the higher earner and you get that reduction, that also affects the survivor benefits for your spouse. Mm-hmm. So you definitely want to talk to an advisor who knows and understands all of your situation.
Yeah. And I would say that, I've had clients that have made that decision and then decided to go with the 6 months, without, consulting us on whether or not they should. And I would say most of the time, our recommendation is going to be not to take that 6-month lump sum. There's definitely scenarios where that makes sense. But most of the time we're recommending against that, because that will, like you said, lower the benefit that you're going to get. And that might go against the overall plan that was in place for you to get you a certain amount of income from Social Security. And if you did that, it might end up not working out as well. And so that's why we always recommend talk to whoever you guys use as your advisor, because I know this is going nationwide and even farther. And so you may not always be working with us, but whoever you are working with, make sure to ask them about that 6-month payment, because most people don't even realize that it's there. And then they get told about it. They decide to do it without realizing that their future benefit is going to be lowered as a result.
Yeah. Yep. So it's definitely something when, like I said earlier, there's a lot of moving parts. So it's a lot more complicated than what you might think on when to claim and how to claim as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see. What about, so there's not a lot, but there's a few industries or a few jobs that you can have where you don't pay into Social Security. And so you might not get any Social Security benefits as a result of that. Or they might be severely reduced. What's that called, and who might end up in that situation?
Okay, so there's a couple of situations here. One is called the windfall elimination provision, and the other one is a government pension offset. These are similar, but they're not exactly the same thing. So the windfall elimination program, or WEP, is what I'm going to call it. And the other one, the government pension offset, that's GPO. All right. So the WEP, this is for those that don't pay into Social Security while they're working most of their lives. All right. And then they have a pension from that job. And then they also worked at a job that did pay in Social Security. So some of these are firefighters, teachers in certain states. I think there's like 15 or so different states that have teachers' pensions. That
I think Illinois might be one.
Yeah, police officers can be another one.
Mm-hmm.
So but there's a reduction factor because you didn't pay into Social Security. But the weird thing is, if you get your Social Security statement, it's not going to have that reduction on there. It's going to show your full amount possible. But then when you get your checks, it's a big surprise.
Wow.
And I don't know why they don't put it on the statement when it's going to happen anyway. But a lot of people that are in this situation, they look at that Social Security statement, I'm going to be making this much. I've got this pension. We're all good. And then they get the check and they're like, what's going on here? It's very confusing.
Yep.
The reduction percentage and all that, I'm not going to bore you with all those details because it's a very complicated formula that uses bend points, substantial earnings, and average index monthly earnings. So
you got to be an actuary to figure that out, basically.
Yeah, but a little bit of silver lining on that is there is something called a WEP guarantee rule, which says that your Social Security amount cannot be reduced more than half of the non-covered pension. So, for example, if you have an $800 non-covered pension from this job you didn't pay into Social Security, then your Social Security cannot be reduced more than $400. So if you had a $1,000 payment, well, half of that would be $500, but with the non-covered payment or the non-covered pension only being $800, they can't reduce your Social Security more than $400. So that's a very small silver lining, I guess, on that.
And so that piece that you said about how the Social Security statement doesn't factor that reduction in on the statement. So you're looking at full numbers, not the actual number that you're going to receive. That's a little scary to me because I don't know how many advisors actually know Social Security to the depth that you're going through right here, especially just on that part right there. They're aware of a windfall elimination provision that it exists. But A, they probably don't know how to calculate it. B, they don't know that it has that reduction factor. And so they're looking at that Social Security amount and they might be like, oh, hey, well, this might be the amount that you get. Yeah. So if you do work a job that does not pay into Social Security, make sure your advisor knows that. Mm-hmm.
That's very important for us as advisors to realize. Because if somebody says, I worked over here and I had a pension, but they don't mention that, it doesn't pay into Social Security, then there's going to be some big numbers that are off. Definitely.
So, all right. So then next, I'd say, unfortunately, Social Security is taxed. It wasn't always.
Well, before we go into that, we need to hit that GPO
We hit GPO. Okay. Sorry. I didn't know that we weren't done with that yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's
GPO thing.
It's very similar, but the GPO, the government pension offset, this affects the spouses of those survivor benefits, right? Or spousal or survivor benefits of somebody who has one of those non-covered jobs or pensions, right? So you may be entitled, like as the spouse, you may be entitled to Social Security benefit as a survivor or a spouse, but you also may have that pension from the federal, state, local government where your spouse did not pay into Social Security. So that's going to affect as well. So it's very complicated situation. Again, go figure. But if you are the one that has the non-covered pension and you took a joint survivor payout, then your spouse's Social Security is not affected. So that's a good point.
Okay.
All right. So that's all I needed to say about that. And there's a lot more details on there, but not a whole lot of people really have this problem. So if you do have a job and a pension, or will have a pension from a non-covered Social Security job, then call in, let us know, give us those details. But yeah, we'll set you right.
Yep, a lot of these nuanced Social Security issues right here. You need to make sure that you're working with an advisor that knows those different nuances. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So are we on to taxes now?
Yes.
Are we on? Okay. We can do
That's
taxes.
part of it. On
right,
taxes.
Cool. So yeah, well, go ahead and talk about that, because Social Security used to not be taxed and now it is taxed. How much is taxed? What does that mean? How do they figure it? All that good stuff.
Yes. Good time. So if Social Security is your only taxable income in retirement, you don't pay any tax at all. But if you do have taxable income, that's what starts to make Social Security taxable. So just about everything outside of Roth IRA distributions, some cash value life insurance, if taken the right way. And there are some VA disability benefits that don't increase tax on Social Security. But basically, everything else does. Wages, pensions, IRA distributions, dividends, interest from the bank, those all increase Social Security or make Social Security become taxable. Now, not all of Social Security is taxable. There's still 15% that, as of right now, will not be taxed at any point. But there's different tiers. So there's different income levels for single and married, that if you break those levels, then you're going to get up to 50% of your Social Security taxed. So if you're let's see if I can share my screen here. You can see this. So these are the levels right here for the Social Security taxation for single and married person. So if you make more than $25,000 of taxable income, then up to 50% of your Social Security is taxable. And if you make $34,000, up to 85% of your Social Security is taxed, whatever tax rate you're at. It's not 85% tax. It's 85% of your Social Security can be taxed with that income level. Now, for married couples, you'd think it'd be double, but it's not. So it's only 32 and 44,000 for 50 and 85%. Now, if you'll notice, another thing about these numbers is these are not very high income numbers. So these were the original amounts that they instituted when Social Security first became taxable in the 80s. So there's been no inflation on those numbers at all in, 40 years?
Yeah, no indexing for inflation at all.
No indexing, not at all. Not at all. So we would love to see that index. That would be great. So how much does this really say for how much tax you're going to pay on some Social Security? So I want to go through a couple scenarios here on like somebody's income. I know everybody wants to say, well, how does this apply to me? So let's see if you can put yourself in this situation somewhere. So I'm going to say you need an income of $60,000 per year. All right. Well, let's say you're getting $40,000. You're getting $20,000 from Social Security, and so $40,000 has to come from like an IRA or something. All right. Well, in that instance, you've got 55% of your Social Security to become taxable because of all your other incomes. Now, if let's say the second scenario, both of you are claiming Social Security. And so maybe that's a $40,000 benefit. So only $20,000 to get to your $60,000 expense level is coming from Social Security. So in this instance, you're only paying 10%, only 10% of your Social Security is taxable. Now, what that really looks like, and the difference on how much tax you pay, federal tax, not state, but everybody's in different states here. But federal tax, when you're pulling $40,000 from the IRA, you're paying $2,200 in federal tax. When you're pulling $40,000 from Social Security, you're not paying any tax. So how you claim really does affect a lot more than just the amount that you get. It affects your taxes. It affects your assets, because right here, this is another $20,000 of your assets that's still intact every year after this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah,
that's
how you claim Social Security can affect your taxes.
Mm-hmm. That it is.
And this is just one example. I mean, that $2,200. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, $2,200 is not a ton. But if it's $2,200 that you were going to spend that now you don't have to, and if we're able to do that every single year, well, now you can just think, okay, well, what could $2,200 do? Josh, I mean, what would you do if you were just gifted? Somebody just wrote a check for like $2,200 or almost $2,300. What do you think you'd do? And try not to give the financial advisor answer of like, oh, I'd invest it, right?
No, I would probably tell my wife and have her tell me what we're going to do with it. Maybe spend a little bit on her, take the kids to a hotel. Like, we don't need to go on vacation at all over the US or anything. We could go down the street to a hotel with a pool and the kids would be just fine.
Well, yeah, because that's really what all the kids talk about whenever you go on vacation is the hotel pool. Yeah. It's like, that's it. The hotel pool. We could have done that somewhere else. We wouldn't have had to go so far.
So
okay.
Yeah. Fun times. But
so at this point, anything else that we want to go through on Social Security? Maybe something that we didn't touch on here. I know there's tons of things we could go on, but I mean, we could be on here for 5 hours.
Yeah. The only other thing, I think I briefly mentioned this, is if you do have a spouse pass away before they started claiming, you do get to choose which one you want, whether it's theirs or yours to claim first. And you can switch with this. So depending on which one's going to be higher, you can start claiming on a spousal record at age 60, not 62, 60. If there are no dependents in your house. If there are dependents, you can start earlier. But if all the kids are gone, your spouse dies and you turn 60, you can claim on theirs. And then your benefit continues to grow until 70. Now, if you choose to take your own at 62 and then let the deceased spouse's record grow, it only grows until full retirement age. It does not grow till 70. It only grows till full retirement age. But whichever one makes sense for what you're going to get the most out of by switching at any point, definitely check with us or your own advisor on which situation you should, or which record you should claim on first.
And so that one's actually pretty cool. I mean, when you think about it at first, maybe it's not, but the fact that they still let you claim a different Social Security with the option of changing that later, that's the cool part. Unfortunately, in order to be able to take advantage of this particular claiming strategy, your spouse has to pass away. So that's the part that's not so cool. But when passes away, they got to wait until 60 before they can actually start claiming those spousal or those survivor spouse benefits there. But that's pretty cool that if they do that, they still have the ability to change to their own if it's going to be higher down the road. So that's one area that still kept the whole switch,
that's one of the very, very few times you can still switch. Now, you can also get a benefit from an ex-spouse. They don't have to be claiming, but you have to have been married more than 10 years and not get remarried before age 60. So more stipulations, but you can claim on an ex-spouse too.
Okay.
And if they work and claim Social Security before full retirement age and they earn too much, that does not affect yours if you're claiming on the ex-spouse's record.
And you said that doesn't affect the ex-spouse's record.
Nope.
If you're claiming on it, they don't even know that you might be claiming.
No, they don't.
Because it doesn't affect theirs.
No, so keep track of your exes.
Exactly. Especially if you've got multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can choose which one you decide to take, as long as you're married for 10 years to each of them, and you're not yet remarried. So,
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else, Josh? Anything else you want to go over today?
I think that's about it for right now. So, but the increases in Social Security for this last little bit here, the increases stop at 70. Now you still get cost of living adjustments for the inflation factors, but the guaranteed roll up of 8% every year stops at 70%. So there are hardly ever any situations for someone not to claim Social Security once they turn 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
That's like the advice.
Unless they want to just be completely benevolent, not take any of it ever, and just leave that in the kitty so it can, be there for other people.
I haven't met anybody like that.
Me neither. All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for that, Josh. So we went through some, I think, Social Security 101 stuff, but I think we also took it to Social Security 1001.
Yeah, there were some higher level details in there, but it all makes a difference.
Some pretty detailed, nuanced, specific situations that we went over there too. And especially if you're in any of those specific nuanced situations and you've got questions, definitely reach out. Because like I said, there's, not all advisors understand some of those. And those that are retirees, or advisors for retirees, might have a better chance of knowing that. But if it's just a normal advisor who might be more of the working year accumulation type of advisor that's better suited to invest our money while we're working, the chances of them knowing all that nuanced stuff is not going to be high, simply because they just don't deal with it. Their clientele is not really concerned about that. But since we work pretty much only with people that are retired or very, very close to it, that has to be something that we put into our planning process. And so that's why we are familiar with it. Yep. So awesome. Well, Josh, you're a wealth of knowledge there for Social Security. So I appreciate all of that. Any parting words of advice before we go here?
Just the fact that if you do have questions about your retirement, whether it's with us or whoever, get them answered before you make some actions. Because once you do those actions, it's very hard, if at all, able to change them. And not just on Social Security, but on all aspects, because it's not this piece of your retirement and that piece and that piece. It's all of a correlation, and it all correlates together. Every piece affects the other one.
Got it.
So get some advice before you act, please.
Very good advice right there. And I would also say that my parting piece of guidance would be to always wear those fancy cutting gloves whenever you're cutting stuff.
Yes. Yes. So
all right.
Here in a couple hours, this will be in a cast. So
yeah, you're getting surgery here in a couple hours. So awesome.
Good.
All right, everybody. Hopefully that helped you. We're always trying to bring you more and more information to empower y'all to live the retirement you deserve. And so check back here again for the next episode, and we'll keep on bringing that value to you. Take care.
All right. Have a good day.